Hello children, in my last video I told you about the processes through which materials enter or leave the cell. Materials enter or leave the cell through processes like diffusion, osmosis and also active transport. Right? In diffusion and osmosis, there is no energy requirement because they move from a region of higher concentration to region of lower concentration. Whereas in case of active transport, materials move from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration. So there is expenditure of energy, means there is energy required, and that energy is obtained from ATP. That is adenosine triphosphate. That gives the energy for movement of materials against the concentration gradient. Okay. Now, what are the parts of a cell? Already I had told you three important parts of a cell. What are the three important parts of a cell? One is the cell membrane. Second is the nucleus, and third is the cell membrane. Second is the nucleus, and third is the cytoplasm. Right? These are three important parts, no doubt. But what are the other parts which are present inside the cell membrane? In the cytoplasm, what parts are present inside? This is the outermost boundary, you can say. Okay, that defines a cell. Cell membrane. Here also cell membrane is there. Okay, so inside the cell membrane, what are the things present and what is their function? What are living and what are non-living? Because the cell contains both living and non-living parts, is it not? So which are living, which are not living? And what is the importance of this nucleus? Right? So, see, there are both living parts as well as non-living parts in a cell. Every cell contains both living parts as well as non-living parts. What are the living parts? Endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, lysosomes, centrosome. This is present only in animal cells. Then plastids. Plastids are present only in plant cells. These are exceptions. Okay. Centrosomes are present only in animal cells and plastids are present only in plant cells. Okay. Then nuclear membrane, that is the membrane which binds the nucleus, which surrounds the nucleus, nuclear membrane, and inside the nucleus there are structures called as nucleoli. Right? These are all the living parts. All these living parts also accommodate, means along with them there are also some non-living parts also. For example, cell wall is there only in plant cells. Then there are granules, different substances are there in the form of granules. Then along with these granules there are also large storage structures which we call as vacuoles. See, you can see a small vacuole here, this small one. Whereas in case of plant, vacuoles occupy most of the area in cytoplasm. In the plant cells, vacuoles occupy most of the area in the cytoplasm. See, these are all vacuoles, large vacuoles. In some plant cells, there will be only one big vacuole, which you call as a central vacuole. Whereas in animal cells, they are very less in number and maybe smaller also. Then fat droplets. Fat contents will be there. Fats are present in form of droplets. And also nucleoplasm. What is nucleoplasm? The fluid which is present inside the nucleus is called as nucleoplasm. Like inside the cell membrane there is cytoplasm, inside the nuclear membrane there is what we call as nucleoplasm. These are the living parts and the non-living parts. All need not be in every cell. There may be some exceptions in one or two cells. Some cells may not have all these things because some cells may lack vacuoles. Animal cells may lack vacuoles. Is it not? Now, all these parts have some or the other function. Already I have told you, these living parts, all these what we call, they are known as cell organelles. Organelles are parts of the cell only, and each organelle has a specific function. A particular function is done by the cell organelles. Only when all the cell organelles function properly, and there is a proper coordination of all the organelles, cells function properly, satisfactorily. All the cells perform functionally means what? Properly means what? The whole organism works properly. There is coordination between all these organelles, which is controlled by the nucleus. Right? So nucleus is the center point. It is the main organelle which controls the activities of all the cell. Right? So all the cells perform good function only when there is coordination. Inside the cell, these organelles and so many cells work together to form a tissue. So many tissues work together to form an organ. So many organs come together to do one function we call organ system, and so on. Okay. Now, let us consider one by one all these organelles. What is their function? Now, organelles are again divided into membranous organelles and non-membranous organelles. These parts are again classified into membranous organelles and non-membranous organelles. Means what? Some organelles are bound by a membrane. It may be a single layer, single membrane, or a double membrane. Sometimes two layers are there. Sometimes a single membrane is there. And some organelles do not have any membranes at all. They are what we call as non-membranous organelles. They are called as non-membranous organelles. Which are the membranous organelles and which are the non-membranous organelles? Let us see now. Membranous organelles means the organelles which are bound by a single layer or a double layer, and non-membranous organelles which are not bound by any membrane. We call them as non-membranous organelles. Non-membranous organelles. Now, which are membranous organelles and which are non-membranous organelles? Firstly, membranous organelles. And then non-membranous organelles. Membranous organelles and non-membranous organelles. What are membranous organelles and non-membranous organelles? First one is your endoplasmic reticulum. Second is Golgi apparatus, or we also call them as Golgi bodies. And third is mitochondria. Mitochondria. Then we have lysosomes. We have lysosomes. What else we have? We also have nucleus. Right? What are non-membranous organelles? One is we have ribosomes. Right? We have another one, that is nucleoli or nucleolus. Where nucleolus. Right? These are membranous. So we have one more, that is your plastids. Non-membranous centrioles. Right? These are all membranous. Endoplasmic reticulum is there, Golgi apparatus is there, mitochondria are there, lysosomes are there, nucleus is there, plastids are there. Alright? Ribosomes are non-membranous. Nucleolus maybe more than one. If there are more than one nucleolus, we call nucleoli. Nucleolus is singular, nucleoli is plural. Then we have centrioles. Right? Now, what is the function performed by these organelles? What is the function performed by these organelles? Let us study one by one. Firstly, endoplasmic reticulum. Firstly, endoplasmic reticulum. What is endoplasmic reticulum? Reticulum is network. It is a network of membranes, membranous network that extends from the cell membrane or plasma membrane up to the nuclear membrane. There is network here also. You can see network here also. You can see the network inside also. It supports the cytoplasm. It supports the cell internally. It is helping in movement of substances within the cell. Movement of substances within the cell, and it is also the site of chemical synthesis, or what we call synthesis of proteins and lipids, means fats. Alright? Supports the cell, helps in the movement of substances within the cell, means from here, wherever it has to go. Right? Substances which are manufactured by some other organelle have to be transported to different parts of the cytoplasm. So that is done by endoplasmic reticulum. It also helps in the synthesis of some chemical substances. Now, there are two types of this endoplasmic reticulum. One is called rough endoplasmic reticulum, and another one is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Another one is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. What do you mean by rough endoplasmic and smooth endoplasmic reticulum? Rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It is called as rough endoplasmic reticulum because its surface is rough. Its surface is rough. Why the surface is rough? Because there are ribosomes. Due to the presence of ribosomes, the surface is rough. And what is its function? What is the function of ribosomes? The function of ribosomes is protein synthesis. That's why it is the site of protein synthesis. It is the synthesis of proteins takes place in the rough endoplasmic reticulum because rough endoplasmic reticulum contains ribosomes. Right? Now, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, what it does? It doesn't have ribosomes, so lacks ribosomes. Secondly, it is the site of lipid synthesis. It is the site of lipid synthesis, means fats. It also helps in detoxification. Means what? Removing poisonous substances which might enter the cell or which are produced in the cell. It helps in removal of the toxic substances, poisonous substances which may harm the cell. That is done by smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So, endoplasmic reticulum, which is a membranous organelle and which is helping in movement of substances, synthesis of proteins and also supports, right? Now there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum helps in protein synthesis because it contains ribosomes, whereas smooth endoplasmic reticulum helps in lipid synthesis, right? It lacks ribosomes, but it helps in removing all the toxic substances. This is all about the endoplasmic reticulum, right? In the next video, I will try to discuss about the other organelles which are present inside the cytoplasm, right? Thank you.